Damage control.
Charles Kersey asked us if he said his right hand feels really strong when in his guard, and I assume what he's talking about is in his guard defensively this way, boxing, and as well as in his striking off that hand. But his left hand, both in defense and offense, was feeling weak, and wanted to get our input on that. I'm going to let Coach Kaiser address that. He's our strength and conditioning expert, and I'll let you get his approach, and then I'll give you mine. But would you mind giving your 2 cents on that?
So do you know if he's talking for defense and offense? Is that what he's saying?
I think in general,
okay.
And it would seem that it's consistent. Most people, if you're right-handed, your left hand's going to be a little bit weaker, right?
Agreed.
Mine is, right?
Yeah, the offense that you do with your left hand, the way I would answer that is it's naturally going to be weaker. The left hand is used to deconstruct their offense, to test their reactions, to get a reaction so that you can set up that stronger shot. So it might not be significantly weaker than your right in a way that it's a concern. You might just be thinking that it should be something that it's not. One way to increase power, at least on the offensive side, is obviously going to be your heavy bag work. I don't know if you have that, if you're training at home, if you have a heavy bag or a tie bag or access to that type of thing, but hitting the bag is always going to be the way to build punching strength.
What about like strength and getting weights?
Yeah, I
body
mean,
weight?
obviously weight training, good form. I hesitate to say weight training because we've had some big monster bodybuilder guys come in here and they can't hit hard at all. They just more push the pads around. And so you got to find the balance of having good form,
functional strength.
Functional strength, yeah, good form, and then building good mass and strength behind that good form. Putting all of that together. But I would say heavy bag work, maybe some weight training, and knowing what the tool is used for would probably be my 3 off the top of my head, answers to
You kind of stole, Coach Kaiser kind of stole mine, but if you look in an orthodox stance, by nature of the stance, it has, about 4 inches less kinetic energy just by virtue of your stance if you are an orthodox left lead fighter. Now it's going to be opposite. If you're an unorthodox fighter, southpaw, and you're saying that your left hand is weaker, okay, then that's probably a sign of some sort of other problem that we need to address. But ultimately, without seeing you throw these techniques or whatever, which by the way, it's not. As a member of our website, we encourage you to film your stuff, upload it, and let's take a look. We'd love to give our input. But from an orthodox stance, it's just going to have less windup. That's just all there is to it. It's a different tool. Your left hand is usually not a power tool unless you load it and then come forward. Load it with your shoulders and come forward. Load it with your legs and come up. Otherwise, just by virtue of the fact that this right hand is a little bit further back, you're going to have more power because it's wound up a little bit more. Aside from that, I'm going to really watch this. I'm really twisting Coach Kaiser's arm here into giving you maybe 3 strength and conditioning exercises you can do at home to help just increase overall upper body strength for this.
Oh man, you're going to have to twist my arm, and you did. It's just hard because I don't know exactly what I'm working with and what exactly needs to happen. I'll give you a couple more suggestions off the top of my head. One thing on the technique side is make sure your hip and your elbow stay behind the punch. A lot of times when people throw the jab when they're first learning it, their elbow's out and they're flipping it from this point here. And you just don't have a lot of power that way. So make sure that your body stays behind the punch. Keep your elbow behind that and keep your hip behind your elbow. That's going to help your power. Now I know what Yamasaki is looking for. He's not looking for that.
Good. I was going to call him on that.
Couple of ideas, stuff you can try. Probably powerlifting isn't really going to help you really gain strength in your hitting. So
what's powerlifting? I don't know what that means.
That would be
if
like
I'm lifting anything at all, I'm powerful, right? What's a powerlifting?
So I'm thinking if somebody says, hey, my jab's weak, I need to get stronger with weights, they're probably thinking, well, I better do some real heavy powerlifting, like heavy, 1-2 rep bench presses. I don't think that's really going to help much. Maybe if you were trying to go up a weight class or something, you may get more powerful through that. But I think the answer is more things that are explosive, like clap push-ups, regular push-ups, bench press, but focusing more on speed and full range of motion versus like extreme heavy weight.
Can you pretend like you have a bench press and just show what that kind of looks like?
The biggest distinction I can tell you about the bench press is powerlifting method versus bodybuilding method. Bodybuilding method, my arms are here and the bar is at the top of my chest, bottom of my throat. That's going to focus more on the shoulder. And then powerlifting method is more, if you were looking right at this angle, my arms are coming down more at this angle. So 1 is here and 2 is more here. Pressing the bar closer to my sternum rather than at the top of my chest or bottom of my throat.
So this would be more method.
This is more the bodybuilder method, focusing more on the delts versus the chest and triceps, which would be more down here.
Where would you put it?
I would put it. I love it. Okay, I would focus more on the bodybuilding method to build bigger delts to push behind the punch. And I would focus more on full range of motion with lighter weight, with a good warm up, and then getting more explosive with that weight combined
show me one rep, what it looks like with the weight on the bar.
Bam, bam, bam,
Okay.
hitting it there.
So it's not like, it wouldn't be like, "Hum," and then just this kind of stuff.
I would go as fast as you can go without hurting yourself. So
Thank you.
Add that with
was
some.
that so hard?
do a few of those, then get some clap push-ups in there. And then double check your form, like Yamasaki said. We've offered a couple ways for you to do that, and between those things, hopefully that'll help start getting.
I like using power bands, or if you don't have access to power bands,
yes.
surgical tubing. Just go to the medical mart, get some surgical tubing, tie it to a post, hold it in your hand, make a handle, and then just stretch it a little bit, and same off your left side. Just bang, bang, bang with that surgical tube behind you as resistance. That's one of the ways I would do it. And again, I just realizing that left side is going to be a little less powerful by nature. Last thing I want to say about power in general is I think it's completely overrated. You don't need to hit super hard. It helps. I mean, it doesn't hurt by any means, but I think your time and effort would be better spent at accuracy and good placement and good setup so that you can get nice clean shots on the button versus a real heavy hit that ends up over here because it's telegraphed or running into an elbow or into a forehead or whatever. I think it's just as important having a nice snappy relaxed punch. Just if you can do that and put it right on the chin, that's going to be hard for anybody to deal with. Personally, that's my.
And you're not going to gas out as fast.
Exactly. So that's my take on the power part of it. It definitely doesn't hurt anything, but if you have accuracy and you can put it right on the spots, liver, chin, temple, sciatic nerve, these things, that you're going to be able to make up for a lot of that power with that accuracy. Now if you got accuracy and power and a great setup, well then, that's the trifecta. That's a good day at the races. But I think out of those three things, power is probably the lowest one on my totem pole. Maybe it's because I've never been a powerful person, but that's how another thing to consider when you think about the power of one hand versus another, or the power of techniques in general.